Welcome to the BCM podcast. I don't ever know if I should wait for him to appear or just start. But I'm just going to start.
Me.
Welcome to the BCM podcast. I'm your host for today, Michael Searle. In the top left, we have my favorite Houstonian and son of Mrs. Blaine, Charles Blaine. And entering the screen now, his arch nemesis, the man single-handedly keeps HEB in business with his ground beef purchases, and his name is Brad Swale.
I actually get my ground beef from Whole Foods now, but because they have a frozen brand that's cheaper and it's just a lot easier to fresh beef can go bad. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Whatever. How is our favorite fan doing, Charles?
Who's our favorite? Oh, my mom. Oh, she's doing great. She's doing her birthday was on Monday, so she's doing great.
Oh my God! Happy birthday, Miss Blaine!
Happy birthday, fellow Aquarius.
Just for you.
I knew I liked her.
And I have to apologize to you, Brad, because on a show a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how you eat so many eggs, and I made the comment about how, wow, it must be like you're powering a freight train with all the gas. And turns out you were correct, because I upped my egg intake, and you're just eating more eggs, nothing happens.
Yeah, it's the plants that make you toot. God,
I'm shocked.
Well, we can talk more about flatulence maybe another show.
Yeah.
And if
I'm just surprised Charles Blaine's admitting defeat. That's
it always happens, but he never admits it, right?
I mean, it seldom happens, but
I'm keeping score. One, Brad Swale, the rest of them, Charles Blaine.
What the fuck?
Round of applause.
All right. Well, let's.
Michael, you're never allowed to host the show again.
Oh, I'm allowed. Every third show, I'm allowed to host the show. This is we're like a union. No, not a union. We're like what am I looking for?
An association?
We're a co-op.
A super PAC?
No.
REI's a
well,
co-op.
Before we get to the topics of the day, let's do the business of, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share with your friends. Check out last week's episode we did with billboard enthusiast Adam Lowy. It was great.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. Look forward to having him on again. And so what do we got to get to today? So we've got first topic that we're going to talk about will be the foreign aid package, what I call the Ukraine bill. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene's dire warning of the enemy within. AOC and Greg Casar are buddying up to take Texas's power grid. Michael Schellenberger has a new report on Russia collusion. Colin Allred is in a dead heat with Ted Cruz, according to new polls. And Ice Spice flashing devil signs, or rock on, as Charles Blaine would say. So the first topic, the quote unquote foreign aid bill, which was before it is the foreign aid bill, it was the quote unquote border bill. So after the border bill failed, Senate passed, I think it was like 77-23 or something like that, this new foreign aid package. It includes $60 billion for Ukraine, $14.1 billion for Israel, $9.2 billion. So $14.1 billion for Israel to blow up Gaza, and then $9.2 billion for Gaza to be rebuilt. So $9.2 billion going to the Palestinians, and then $8 billion for Taiwan. There is a missing about, $4 billion. I don't know where it's going. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's not a foreign. I think it's a foreign AIDS bill, right? Yeah. No
comment.
What?
Foreign aid.
All right. Well, not every single one can land, guys. I'm trying here. It's okay. What do I think about the foreign aid bill? Well, at this point in my life, as an American citizen, and always using the first principle of politics that you're being lied to constantly, especially in times of war, I kind of don't want any more foreign aid at all to anybody. I mean, just let them fend for themselves. Just fuck off, right? Am I being, I don't know, a coward, as some might say? Maybe comparing me to the Americans before Pearl Harbor, saying they didn't want to get into World War II, and therefore somehow I'm a Nazi supporter.
Well, it's a leap, I think.
Leap as well. I do too.
I mean, I don't. So you say no more foreign aid at all until like ever, or until a certain determined thing happens. Predetermined.
Until when would I be okay with more foreign aid? That's a good question. I haven't thought about that. I haven't thought that far ahead. Honestly, I don't care. I don't know. I don't care what happens to Russia or Ukraine. I don't particularly care about what happens to Palestine or Israel. Like, I care. Like, I don't want bad things to happen. Right? I'm a good person, I think. Maybe not for saying that. People aren't going to believe me, but I'm a good person. But I think that we have enough problems here, and we have a border that needs. I mean, maybe let's put it this way: until all of America's problems are solved, right? Let's not help other people solve their problems.
Yeah, so never.
I mean, isn't that what the government is supposed to do for its citizens?
The government is not supposed to solve. The government is not supposed to solve anybody's problems. That's the first basic
agreed. But I'm being put into this false dichotomy.
Well, no, I mean, I assume you weren't saying that. I mean, you did say that, but I assume what you meant was until the things that they are ignoring here are addressed, then they should not be.
Look, if I'm going to be taxed against my will, as much as they want to be given to whoever they want, right? So long as that's happening, I want my tax dollars to be spent on problems here in the United States. I don't want them to take my tax dollars, Michael. I'm sorry that I have to clarify that for you.
But if you don't send money to Ukraine, Russia will be over here, and then you'll have to fight them here.
Fine, I'll fight them here. I don't care. Good.
I'm kidding.
I'm joking. I know that you are. I know that you are. But that's I mean, what did Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell, one of those two goons, say that recently?
Probably.
Mitt Romney said this is the most important vote of his lifetime to send $60 billion to Ukraine. I've been asking on Twitter, I think on every day, for somebody to articulate to me what $60 billion in additional funding to Ukraine will accomplish. Can anybody articulate that in any reasonable terms that aren't just like platitudes and fear mongering?
I don't think so. And I think that's, and interestingly enough, I was at an event last night and a guy a guy I know very well was speaking about Israel and the aid. And he made a very good point, which is kind of similar to what you're saying, which is that he felt that the aid to Israel was very different than the aid to the Ukraine, because when you give the aid to Ukraine, there's no like end goal. Like, sure, they want to fend off Russia, but like, it's like, when do you determine that the mission has been accomplished? Whereas he was saying for Israel, they kind of have an end goal. They have a defined, role that they're trying to pursue. And he felt that it was different. But I think when you do look at Ukraine, it's like, what I haven't seen or heard, and admittedly, I haven't followed it closely, but I would assume if it was determined, we would have heard what they think $60 billion is going to do in like, hard and fast rules. Like, this is where it's going to be this. This is when we'll know that we're successful or whatever. Like, there's just been nothing of that. It's just been, let's keep making it rain on Ukraine. And no pun, that did not do that intentionally, but it just worked. But it's frustrating, and I get what you're saying, Brad, because it's like there are a lot of things happening here, not necessarily problems that each individual American is facing, but things like the border, where you could address it, like the fact that you can't come to a good resolution on some sort of border stopgap measure, but yet we can easily rush money through in foreign aid. It's kind of frustrating to see. Not kind of, very frustrating.
Are we thinking about this the wrong way? Is this really foreign aid, or is this just propping up the military-industrial complex?
It's probably both. They are one and the same.
How is it both? How is this aiding Ukraine? Ukraine has decimated their, vital male population. I think what did I hear this week? The average Ukrainian soldier age is pushing like 44 or something crazy, because all of the young ones died. I saw a video of a guy with Down syndrome as one of the soldiers. I don't know if it's real or not, But at this point, anything's possible. It seems. It's not. This is not. I don't know how this doesn't help. And I mean, to answer your question, how I would answer it, and I know it's not what you're looking for. It's not. I'm sort of gaming the system a little bit. It seems like the mission is to just prop up military industrial complex, prop up the Halliburtons, the Raytheons, the Boeings, right? We give them, I don't know, are we giving them new equipment, or are we giving them old equipment, or are we just giving them money? I don't know. It doesn't help them.
No, if you look at it objectively, the only people that benefit here are the weapons manufacturers. It's sending $60 billion is not good for Ukraine, as you just pointed out. It's not good for Russia. Obviously, it's not good for U.S. taxpayers or citizens. So it's bad for everybody involved, except for the profit motive. And then on the other foreign aid packages, this is more of a principled stance for me. I won't be anti-Semite guilted into supporting Israel aid, or I won't be scaremongered into supporting Taiwanese aid. I think for two reasons. One, we, like you guys said, America first. We have enough issues at home we need to be spending our tax dollars on. And two, we don't have a tremendous amount of evidence that our aiding or getting involved in other people's conflicts actually has a good outcome. So from a principled stance, I'm against all of this. I just don't support any of this. And they won't shame me. You're a Russian bot. They do shame tactics on all of them. You're a Putin puppet. You're an anti-Semite. China's going to take us over. Like, I'm not, that shit doesn't deter me. I'm sorry. That's shallow. And I'm not scared of being labeled that. This is just a principled stance. We got shit at home to deal with.
Are you taking a page out of Tucker Carlson's book? Like, not.
Yeah, shopping in Russian supermarkets and stuff.
You're worrying about how Russia is going to do? What are you?
I'm saying of all the parties that are involved in the Ukraine-Russia war, it doesn't benefit anybody for it to keep on going.
No,
except for the people
agree.
who are making money.
I agree, but I just don't know why you care about whether it benefits Russia or not. I just wonder if you've been radicalized by Tucker Carlson's latest videos.
Yeah, dobre noche.
They have such a nice subway. I want to put it here in Austin, Texas.
Someone is pro Project Connect.
One quick thing on the Tucker stuff. I thought, the video, I know we talked about his interview. I did not expect all like the shorts of him like hanging out in Russia and like going food shopping and like talking about how great Russia is. I didn't expect all that to come. What I found super weird was the one where he went to the supermarket and was like, you put a quarter in, you get this cart, and then you put it back and you get your quarter back. Like, as if we don't have that here in the United States. Like, I go to an Aldi, like you can see that and he's like, see, you can't take this and go and like, bring it to your homeless encampment. Like, it's like, have you never been to a grocery, which he has not been to a grocery store in like 30 years, I would guess. But what is going on? I don't understand that. But I know that's sidetracking us from our conversation. But it's very strange. I didn't get that part. Got the interview, criticize it, whatever, fine. But the rest of this, I'm not really understanding.
He's a Putin puppet, and Michael Searle loves him. And Michael, we're watching the radical, as we have been watching. Charles, your entry into the conspiracy theory world and how much you're loving it and like learning so much as you go down those rabbit holes. We're watching the same thing happen with Michael in Russia.
Fair.
I know.
Speaking of conspiracy theories, Marjorie Taylor Greene took to Twitter with a long. I'll just read you just a quick, the first.
Well, you can.
Sentence.
I don't want to do that. Hold on. Let me. You can start reading. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to share it on the screen. Is that okay with you, host?
I love it. I love it.
The rambling.
Well, you guys won't give me. You guys won't give me keys to the castle or whatever the saying is, so I can't post stuff. It's not for my lack of ability. It's that these two hooligans are controlling me in another conspiracy. Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Are we facing a national security threat? It's my duty to be honest with you. Yes, it's real. I went to the briefing in the skiff. It's all Our president is a dementia patient in charge of our country and the nuclear football, who ripped our border wide open to over 10 million people and counting from over 160 countries around the world, and 2 million of them were never caught. However, an unknown number of those are in fact terrorists who want to kill you. And then she goes about, you know, the border and human trafficking and debt and interest rates and a bunch of
As
stuff.
people can see, it's very
401ks. Yeah. And then at the end, she basically says the enemy, the biggest security threat we need to worry about is the enemy within.
So I don't know. My first thought was like BFFR. If you don't know what that means, Google it. But I read that.
BFFR?
Yeah.
Best friends.
So I read that and I was like, this is interesting. And then I get to the bottom, it's like, none of this I learned in the skiff. I'm like, okay, so why did you lead with you went to a hearing in the skiff only to tell us that all this is just stuff that you conjured up in your office? Like, I don't just like, it just didn't make any sense to me.
Charles, first off, your mom listens to this and watches this, so please watch your language when
Which is why I did not.
When you say BFFR.
I just thought
you basically signaled to her to go look it up. So she's going to, and then she's going to see it, and she's going to be very disappointed. I think. I don't know. I'm sorry. Well, I thought the national security threat was the nukes in space.
That too.
I thought it was aliens.
Which is they have nukes too. They got to, right? I mean, what is she saying that's wrong?
I mean, I don't think anything that she said was specifically wrong in that. I think we're seeing the decline. I mean, do I know that he has dementia? No, but I mean,
yes, you do. You know, he does.
I don't. But I will say that, you know, something ain't right. Like,
what does that mean? Something ain't right.
I don't know. I mean, it could be just simply age, like age, your cognitive decline that comes with age. I don't know what his issue is, but there is
Are you one of the people that says it's just a stutter?
No, certainly not. And because he's had a stutter all his life, and that is not a stutter.
I've never seen a video of him with a stutter, not once.
I have. And it's not, he doesn't have like a very bad one. I think he went to speech therapy. But my point is that this is not the stutter. Like, no, this is separate and apart from that. This is an issue of cognitive decline. Is it dementia? Maybe. I don't know. So no, I'm not saying anything is wrong in what she is saying. My problem was it was kind of similar to the what's his name, James O'Keefe thing, where it's like, I just learned this in the skiff, or I got this information, they're going to try to kill me tonight, and then next thing you know, it's like, all right, lukewarm information. For hers, it was interesting, but then you tell us at the end that none of this is what you learned in the skiff. So then why did you start this off with, I just got out of the skiff?
I think her point and the distinction that we got to have when we're having these conversations is it's not Biden. The distinction is it just poor leadership? We have a dementia patient in the office for the president, and he's just flailing around and making all these decisions that are leading to negative consequences for the country on accident? Or what I think she is implying is there are intentional forces from within the deep state who are intentionally creating these consequences to bring down the country. And I think that's, now we're in conspiracy world again, but I think that's her implication with this.
I mean, doesn't it have to be intentional at this point?
Well, let me ask you a question.
I asked you first. I'll play the game.
I'll answer your question with a question. Do the urbanists in Austin who are insistent on this light rail project?
Whose computer is that? Mine? Yours?
Are they intending for the consequences that are going to come, or are they just so blinded by ideology that they're able to ignore them?
I think that there's a little bit of blindness, as all urbanists have, and they think that the trade-offs are worth the trade-offs are worth it. Whatever the trade-offs are. It doesn't matter if it doesn't actually make things more, if it doesn't make things more affordable, then what will happen is, well, at least there's less pollution because people don't have to drive as far, right?
But the difference being here, that the intention of the policy is to cause more traffic, make it more unaffordable. All the negative consequences are the intention of the project, which, if we get back to the subject,
I don't think urbanists are that smart.
traffic. What?
I don't think urbanists are that smart.
But are the people in the deep state that smart?
Yes.
That they're okay.
I think that
the deep state urbanists.
The deep state urbanists are. I think those two cancel each other out. Two negatives make a right, right?
Right.
I think that they do because it's been happening for so long, right? And I think the comparison to the urbanists, they may look at some place like New York or San Francisco or whatever other dense city that's super urban, or Europe or whatever the fuck, and ignore all of the problems. They think that somehow Austin will not have those problems, right? Or Austin, or wherever, Houston, maybe, I don't know, parts of Houston, wherever Charles lives. But the deep state, this stuff has been going on for so long, right? They know what inflation is. They know that when they print trillions of dollars, that inflation goes up, and then they lie to you. They know that all of this stuff is going to negatively affect Americans, regular, everyday Americans, right? I mean, we're going to talk about this in a second, but Greg Casar and AOC know that their connect the grid bill is bullshit. They know it's not going to do anything, and they have an ulterior motive, for sure.
You think so?
I know so. They don't care about they don't care about any of that. All they care about is getting the Texas grid on the national grid so that they can, force more Green New Deal bullshit on Texas. So they can get rid of all the natural gas. That was the problem. We've heard it so many times. And the solution is going to be more windmills.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's true, but that's still different. I think you're missing the distinction here.
How about you answer your question then, Michael?
Are the consequences of bad policy, be it Green New Deal, which would be really high energy costs, rolling blackouts, whatever. I'm not an energy expert, but let's say those are the consequences. Is there intention to have rolling blackouts and high energy costs? Or is there intention to save the planet through the Green New Deal?
Right. I think that's their intention, and they don't care that the byproduct is bad. Like, I don't think it's worth it to save the planet is what they're thinking. Like, if we have to deal with this, if we got to be a little hot in the summer and a little cold in the winter because we don't have electricity, that's okay as long as we save this planet for the future generations. I think that's what it is. And I think a lot of people, they're like, we'll tough it out. And a lot of progressives and a lot of policy areas will be like, yes, byproducts may temporarily be bad, might be higher taxes, might be rolling blackouts, might be flooding, it might be traffic, it might be all of these things, but there's a greater good here that we're pushing forward for. I think that's what they believe.
Yeah, I think it's intentional.
You think they want rolling blackouts? Like, you think you're like...
Oh, I mean, in that specific scenario, I mean, I think that they're okay with rolling blackouts. I think they're fine with it. I don't think they care about reliability of the grid so long as the grid is made up of, solar panels and windmills. Who cares? So long as that happens. But when you're talking about stuff like what's the debt at? $34 trillion?
Think so.
And then they just throw more trillions on top of it all the time, and they pretend like it's not a big deal. Like, who cares? They don't talk about it. They lie about it. They do everything they can to get you to look at something else. Super Bowl. And that's intentional. They don't care. They're not doing anything to reverse it.
Well, I think on that specific issue, and I know that you're talking about general, and you just use the debt as a reference, but on the debt, no one cares. No one does. The general public does not give a damn. Like, for whatever reason, well, I wouldn't call either of you the general public.
Who are we?
I think you're a more informed electorate, and you pay attention to these issues.
Hey,
even though you're wrong a lot, I think you still.
You being Brad, not Michael.
Yes, exactly. So, but really, I think the average person, that's why Thomas Massey wears the little pin with a debt clock just rolling, but people don't pay attention to that. Why? Because we don't feel the consequences of it. But if your city was in, which all cities are, a massive amount of unfunded pension liability debt, and they were getting ready to default, you would hear people crying about that because you'd feel services being shut. You'd see police getting laid off. You'd see parks closing. You'd see stuff like that. So I feel like people just don't care about that. Sorry, that's my rant about the dead. I just get
no. I think I'm not disagreeing with Brad necessarily. I just think, and this goes back to our conversation with Adam Lowy last week about conspiracies. Like, are there smart people that are pulling the strings? I think the Greg Casars and the AOCs and the people pushing the rail are useful idiots. Do I think that there are forces within the U.S. government who are in the business of managed decline, as they call it? Yeah, I do. And some of these policy decisions are intended. But Greg Casar is just a true believer. He's a useful idiot in pursuit of that ultimate goal.
Okay. Maybe you're right. I mean, I'm not saying I think you're probably, if not totally correct, very correct. Right. I don't know is Greg Casar a useful idiot? Maybe so, but then who's pulling the strings? Like, is the system pulling the strings? It's an invisible guy.
Well, yes. I think that's the case. Like, I think it's the
handler. And is his handler Huba Abedin?
No, that's George Soros' handler.
George Soros Jr.?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
No, I mean, they're dating. Did you not see that recently?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I saw their OnlyFans.
I don't think they have handlers, but I do think the system is set up where they get led down these pathways, right? Like, you have the nonprofit institutions. I'm not going to just throwing out, like, say Brookings or something, comes out with a report that says that's funded by this person, and so then that appeals to Casar, and so then Casar picks it up and goes to the progressive activist groups, who then take that information. So, like, the system is kind of set up to function that way. I think more so than kind of a specific handler being like, this is the task that you're going to carry out.
Yeah. Perverse incentives. Speaking of Casar, should we move on to? We kind of discussed it, but
should we? Do you want to move? You're the hosts, but I'm just going to make a suggestion. Do we want to do some potpourri, or do we want to
potpourri? Yeah, we could potpourri it. We have potpourri topics.
I thought that Ice Spice was, but
we have the one. Okay, so Ice Spice is caught on video at the Super Bowl with Taylor Swift and Blake Lively, maybe. And she appears to be a very big Texas Longhorns fan.
Well, I just want to show people who Ice Spice is in case they don't, because I don't always know.
I was just about to do that. Okay, fine.
Look at this. Ice Spice, thank you the shit for a parenthetical fart official video. So,
it's a good video.
Is it?
What's around her neck there?
Does she eat a lot of eggs?
She has. It's a pendant of her. But not in, in this one you mean?
No,
or the other one?
No, the other one.
The other one, it's a pendant of her. Like, if you zoom in, she usually has this like Annie cut, and it's supposed to be like her.
So she's at the Super Bowl. She's wearing Balenciaga, and she's flashing Longhorn signs. Right? You got that? Can you run that video?
I can. Yes. Let me pull that up. I know you sent it, so let me pull it up. But so she's. Why are you saying they're Longhorn signs? I guess we're going to see that here in a second. But I'm sorry. I was slow on the uptake here because I wanted people to see the fart official video. But let me share this. Well, hold on. I can do this full. And then I'll back it up and then I'll share screen. It'd be great if someone else could also have this ability and it wasn't just on me.
Well, I didn't know we were going to play the video.
Oh, all right. Here it is. Here's the video. Yeah.
She's just emoting.
So the conspiracy theorists on Twitter are going bananas over this thing. So if you're just listening and you're not watching, she throws up both hands in Longhorn. What do you call this sign?
I don't know.
The devil sign. And then she has a cross around her neck, which after she throws up the devil sign, she like highlights her little cross around her neck. So what is she doing?
What is she doing, Charles?
I think she is the music was good. She's hanging out with Taylor and with Riot and with, was Quavo there from one of the Migos. Like, she's just having a good time. And so she's just like rock on. And then and just like they do in every music video, she then takes her chain and she's like this. I think people look too much into it. You think
Ice Spice is saying rock on?
Oh my goodness.
I think people are just looking way too much into this. Like I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I know that a lot of people do. The cross was given to her by Playboy Cardi. It's not like she went and, I don't know, bought this upside down cross. I wouldn't wear an upside down cross. So, do I think it's disrespectful? Yes. Do I think she like got up and was like, let me go do this to like let me put on this Balenciaga and throw up these hand signs and wear this upside down cross to show that I'm, representing the devil? Like, no, I don't think that's what happened.
Brad,
what's your question?
Just respond with the counter to what he just said.
Oh, I mean, she sold her soul to the devil for sure. It happens. I mean, I don't. Is it legit? Does it mean that like the devil, the devil is real and he has a certificate of ownership of her soul? I'm not saying that, but whatever she did, she's going through the motions. She's doing the rituals, and whoever is supporting her, what is she? A 22-year-old like just randomly popped up like
rapper.
Is she a rapper?
She is a rapper. Yeah, she's a drill rapper.
So when I'm watching the 49ers lose the Super Bowl, the signals I'm throwing up are like, there's a touchdown, first down, but I do the first down like George Kittle does the first down because that's like
see your hand.
Oh, he does a 3. It's like he's shooting a basketball, but it's also a first down.
Okay.
And I'm chanting the 49ers chant. So
the 49ers
please do tell us.
No. They lost.
What's the chant?
And so she's doing whatever she cares about, right? Whatever her emotions are meaningful to her. They're not just random. So what is she trying to say, or what is she trying to show people?
Okay, have you never been somewhere, right? And you're just like hanging out and you're standing at the sidelines or something. Yeah, like you're with your friends and there's music on, you just go like, or like you just do something. Like I just feel like it's just that simple. I really feel like
maybe the Longhorn game I've done that.
Maybe she was in Houston recently because we be throwing up that or throwing up the threes, So I don't know, but I don't think she was trying to, I don't know. I mean, I just think she's a young person who is like probably feeling a little awkward. The cameras are on her nonstop because she's next to Taylor Swift and they keep showing her. And so she's just like, you know what, let me like do a little shimmy real quick. Give him a good old 1-2. Give
him the old 1-2.
If in the background there wasn't an open secret that there's a Satanist problem from within Hollywood and the music industry, I might agree with you. But there's plenty of evidence that exists. Does it mean they sold themselves to Satan? No, but there are a community of people in the world, not just Hollywood, who worship Satan. And part of what they do is show signs of
LeBron
that.
James.
She just happened to throw up those signs and just happens to have on an upside down cross and just happens to be from that industry. I think it's plausible that she's showing us what she believes in.
I'll give that to you. I don't think it's plausible. Yes. I agree wholeheartedly about the industry and a lot of the occult stuff that goes on in it. I don't disagree that it's possible. I don't disagree that it's possible. I just don't think that's what she was doing, but I don't think I'm not going to write it off and say it's impossible.
Rock on.
Is she good?
As a music, I mean, it depends on your type of music, but I
don't want some generalized.
I think she's good. I think she's a good drill rapper. Drill rap is for younger kids, but I think for that genre, I think she's good.
What is drill rap?
It's kind of like a new-ish type of rap. It's much faster. The beats must. Are you familiar with Jersey club music? No. It's like I
avoid everything Jersey as much as possible, but go on.
Or Baltimore club music. Anyway, it's a much faster, kind of more hard-hitting type of rap. A lot. It's much more aggressive. The mayor of New York tried to, attribute that to the increase in crime in New York. I don't think that's the case. I think they just try to look for scapegoats every couple of decades. So it's a form of rap.
Eric Adams tried to say that drill rap was responsible for the increase in crime in New York City.
Yes, yeah, he did.
Do you think that this is just a general question, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts? I don't know if Eric Adams is right or not. Who cares? But you personally, do you think that music, and I mean, it doesn't have to be rap music, it could be, lots of fucking rock music has bad or negative messages, let's say. Mm-hmm. Do you think that affects the culture of America? And I'm not saying it's not black people, it's white people. White people listen to music too. Hispanics listen to rap music too. Hispanics listen to rap music. Do you think that does have an effect on how people act? And I want to hear Michael too. I'm not picking on Charles.
I do think, excuse me. I do think it has an effect on how people act. I don't think it has such a large cultural and societal effect that it's impacting kind of like crime rates and stuff, especially because young white kids are one of the biggest demographics that listen to rap, young white boys in particular. And so in the suburbs. And so I think it necessarily has like that direct of an impact, but I think on the individual, yeah. I mean, if these kids are listening to their favorite rapper rap about like drinking lean or like smoking or doing stuff, they're going to go and do that. And I think that's why, or they might not necessarily go and do that. They might be more inclined to do that because they think it's cool. But I think hearing your favorite rapper talk about going like robbing someone or shooting someone and then doing that because of a song, I think that's a much like larger leap than just, picking up a joint because you heard Eminem rap about it or something.
Michael?
Do I think cultural centerpieces such as music and movies and podcasts have an impact on culture? Yes.
Does it have an impact on criminality and antisocial behavior?
Yes, that's all part of culture, isn't it?
Now, do you think that you mentioned podcasts, so I have to ask, do you think the BCM podcast, does it have a antisocial effect or what?
Social.
Well, we do have an urbanist on the show, so I don't know about that. Very antisocial.
A little bit.
Very.
Yeah, it does. But I think the answer to it is not hating on rap. The answer to it is teaching kids responsibility for their actions.
Oh, I didn't say hate.
I didn't say you were hating on rap. Some people on the right, they just want to bash on rap. I love rap music, but I also know how to act in the world. So our focus should be on teaching people how to act in the world, not on banning
Who's your favorite rapper?
Tupac.
You're so white. Charles, who's your
duh.
You're so white. Charles, who's your favorite rapper?
My favorite rapper, I mean Jay-Z. Jay-Z is definitely my favorite rapper. Kanye is a Kanye like producer rapper, I think would be my favorite, but like straight rapper is Jay-Z. Like I just feel like he's kind of untouchable. But Biggie is, I mean, it's this is a whole conversation. I think it's just a little too hard. Who's yours? Please do tell.
I'm more of a Cisco man, but that's just me.
Not surprising.
Cisco.
But I will say every couple of decades, we see this effort by politicians who try to blame rap. It happened with NWA, it happened with Tupac, it happened with Biggie, it happened with, I mean, even like the Beastie Boys and stuff, I think got blamed for a lot of cultural issues. And I mean, they always try to blame musicians for the societal ills, and some of which can be owed to music, but I think most of which, like Michael said, it's teaching these people about personal responsibility and things like that.
Speaking of, before we move to the next topic in rap and its impact on culture, why don't you pull up Eminem's Twitter page and look at his profile picture?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it Ice Spice?
No. Oh my God, that would be so tight if it was.
No.
How do you spell Eminem? Is that M?
Just type in Marshall Matt. Oh. Well, I think he might have just been in Houston recently because that's the Texan symbol. And so
stop it. Let's see. Let's zoom in on that.
You can click it and it opens up.
Oh, why don't you share it? What's going on there?
Not that he's a Longhorns
What's
fan.
He doing? I think he's a big rock and roll guy, right?
He's saying rock on, folks. Rock on.
Rock on, fellow rappers.
I don't know what that's about. I mean, I get it. I do. I know what that's about. I don't mean that. I don't. That's not about Rock On. That's something different.
For those that are just listening, he's putting the devil sign on his forehead like that, and he's also covering one of his eyes. God, Michael's got a good eye.
Symbology.
Also, like, how did Michael just like know that? Like that this was on Eminem's page?
Because the boys have been listening to Eminem, and I just like searched him up, and then I'm like, holy. I just got to be careful with that.
Have they been listening to old Eminem, or is there new Eminem?
And is it clean versions or is it explicit versions?
Hopefully the explicit.
There's a clean playlist on Spotify, and it's mostly old, but it's a mix of everything.
Is it Kids Bop Eminem? Because I'm sure they have that now.
Kids be bopping.
All right, next.
Like, do you guys know what any of these songs are about?
You mean you're asking them? Probably. I hope not.
No idea. Okay, we're gonna move on. Eminem's a Satanist, and we're going to move on. Okay, so Democrat U.S. Rep. Greg Casar from the Austin, Texas area, Brad Swale's favorite politician, is proposing a measure that would require Texas to connect its electrical grid to the national network. He is joining forces with progressive darling Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to try to get this done. It's called the Connect the Grid Act. If you don't know, Texas has its own electrical grid that is separate from the national grid. What are your guys' thoughts on this? That will never happen.
My initial thought, and this is completely irrelevant to this conversation, is every time someone says the grid, I like in my head, and I know this isn't accurate, I think of like wires underground that connect each other, like as one like physical large grid. I don't know. I mean, I think it goes to the conversation we were having before about kind of there being ulterior motives here. Most of them dealing with kind of like the green energy folks and all their initiatives. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Brad?
Well, I have my thoughts on it, and I think I already said this. They don't care about blackouts. They don't care about any of that. They just want to rein in Texas and the Texas grid, and they want to push their green agenda and change it all to, windmills and what's it called? Solar panels. And they don't care. They just don't want quote unquote greenhouse gases. They don't want natural gas. They don't want coal. They don't want nuclear. They just want wind and solar. And this is their effort to do that. And they're going to couch it under the guise of stopping blackouts and saving people's lives, because it was hot last summer and we had some crazy cold winters a couple times. And it goes all the way down to the city of Austin. Recently, I guess yesterday, I think they passed a resolution to get the city manager to look into maybe doing a climate bond where the city voters can vote on a bond to be spent on climate change agenda. Was it the Austin Climate Equity Plan 2040 or whatever the fuck it's called? It's really stupid. In that in that thing they just voted on, it explicitly says reduce electricity demand. And I've asked many times, I don't know how the city of Austin reduces electricity demand. I don't know how that works. How do you stop me from demanding more energy?
Unplug all the Teslas.
Well, you can unplug, sure, but that doesn't. Yeah, okay, but then
no,
But
they find that interesting. Yeah.
Right. How do you do that? You can raise prices and maybe I'll use less, but that goes against their affordability, right? And I asked Ryan Alter and he said something about load balance, which isn't changing the demand. It's just saying we're going to encourage people to use more electricity in off hours so that the grid isn't overloaded, right? Okay. He also said about making buildings more energy efficient. Maybe that changes the demand, but then if I know that if I'm paying less because my building is more efficient, maybe I'll leave the lights on longer. I don't know. How do you make me stop using electricity? City of Boston. But going back to AOC and Greg Casar, it's not real. They don't give a shit about blackouts. Blackouts happen across the country. I mean, should I say all the time? I don't know. They happen. It's not crazy.
Well, the Tesla thing was actually only half kidding, because I remember, and I can't find it, I just tried to Google it. There was an article, it might have been from Axios or someone, that came out about a year ago that was showing like a heat map of Austin, of where electricity was like peak demand at different times of day, and they associated a lot of that with people literally, like, just so many Tesla drivers constantly charging their cars and like consolidated places. It was really interesting to see. I wish I could find it now. But yeah, I mean, the only way you can reduce demand is by strict enforcement and forcing people to reduce demand through regulation. And that's probably what they're going to lean on. And I hope that you guys are putting together an effort to kill this climate bond, because Lord knows Austin's already expensive enough to live as it is. And
you've offended Michael.
No, of course I'm not. No, it's a waste of time. It's going to win. It's going to pass very easily. And they're probably actually going to do a tax rate election and create a dedicated stream of revenue that they can bond against forever, just like they did with Project Connect. But this bill is going nowhere. Greg Casar would spend his time. It would be a better use of Greg Casar and AOC's time to get in one of those alien skiffs and figure out how those things are zooming around the universe without using any electricity, if they want to reduce the use of electricity on the planet. That would be a better use of their time. Connecting to the Texas electric grid. You see come and take it signs right now about the border. If they tried to take over our energy grid so they could push their climate goals on Texas's grid, that would be...
Tucker Carlson may actually come to Texas and lead a civil war.
Yeah, he might go shopping at Aldi first, because he really loves those carts that you put the coin in. And and it's also and the fact that, I mean, it is going nowhere just simply because of the policy, but also having Greg Casar and AOC lead a reform that's dedicated to about Texas is also like another way to ensure that thing will die before it even gets a chance.
There are some underlying political motivations there about turnout in the upcoming election and turning Texas blue, and like that's also part of their motivation for bringing this in an election year. But I don't know if it'll move the needle there. Speaking of,
what?
Did you have something?
Well, I had a question.
Sure.
A question. So every time I watch a movie, you got a male lead and a female lead, right? And I asked my wife, because I don't know. I mean, I don't read People magazine, but I feel like those people probably sleep together pretty often. I think that
movie
happens in movies, not in the movie, but like behind the scenes. Charles, come on.
Oh, the two actors,
right? They probably do.
I see where this is going.
Right?
Oh God.
What? I don't know.
I just wrote.
Do you think that is Congress? I mean, other than the senators, what was his, the guy that got butt fucked on the Senate floor? Other than him, is it pretty incestuous up there? Do you think?
What? I mean, if you listen to Madison Cawthorn when he was a congressman, he said that it was, and you hear these things all the time. So yeah, I guess so. You heard about Austin too, so the legislature. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be.
Are you talking about Slayton? Or are you talking about someone else?
No. That's different. But yeah, I'm just talking about like the legislature as a body. You hear that they like each other's bodies.
Do you hear that? I don't know. That's why I asked y'all, because y'all are more involved at like.
I hear that.
I don't know.
I hear that. Yeah, I certainly hear it more about DC. Simply, I think just because it's like a bigger institution, and like
you leave your wife and kids behind, or your husband and kids behind. You go. You're
as you do to Austin too, though, and I think that's why it happened.
Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, it happens. So outside of the Slayton type situations where we don't need to get into that, but outside the Slayton things and the sex parties that Madison Cawthorn is talking about, which are real, there's always a scandal with a rep about an extramarital affair. It's not always with another rep. So is Greg Casar and AOC hooking up? I don't know. I doubt it. It's possible, but our friend of the show guest, Tony O, just put out an article just the other day that caught Drew Springer and Claudia Ordaz at some restaurant together. There was Cole Hefner and Lacey Hull, Charles Blaine's favorite.
What's her name?
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. So there are rumors.
Not
I'm not
you,
saying those
Brad.
things are. I'm not saying those rumors are true. What I'm saying is there always seem to be. And there was a few sessions ago. There was the lobbyists and the reps like hooking up in the Capitol. So there are always these rumors. So I think that some of them are probably true.
But also, even if Greg Casar and AOC were together, they're both two single adults, right? I think.
No, I think she has a ginger
Greg's
boyfriend.
married.
Oh, they're both.
Greg's
Oh, okay,
married.
never mind. Sorry, I take that back.
Greg's married.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But even still, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail us so much, but I just, I thought I would ask two experts.
I'm not that I'm an expert, but.
So speaking of turning Texas blue, new polling out, Colin Allred is in a dead heat with Ted Cruz in their Senate race.
Who paid for this poll? I see for Colin Allred, he has these ads on Twitter and he's like begging for money in a really weird way. I wish I could pull one up. Maybe I'll do that when one else talking, but it's like, hey, no one's donating to our campaign. Can you help us out? Like it seems really counter to what I would think you would want to do in a situation like that. But who paid for this poll?
It's a Texas poll from National Public Affairs. I think it's probably a Democrat polling firm, and they have Ted Cruz and Colin Allred 44 to 44, and then in the presidency, they have Trump 42, Biden 35, RFK 6, Manchin, who's not on the ballot, 4, and Cornel West 3.
So quick ad, I just Googled this place. Not a Democrat, actually surprising. I thought it would be too. Bill Stepien is a founding partner. He was tapped by Trump to serve as his campaign manager in 2020. Justin Clark apparently worked on Wall Street, then went into Republican politics, deputy campaign manager for Trump's reelect, and then a group of other people, Macy Stepien. So apparently they're Republicans. Interesting.
They did the poll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, wait, what did you say the part about 0 women?
Oh, for Democratic women. So it breaks it down into kind of categories. GOP men, 85, Cruz, 7, Allred. Dem men, 3% for Cruz, 89% for Allred. Independent men, 41%. Cruz, 44% Allred. GOP women, 86 Cruz, 5 Allred. Dem women, this was the one that stood out, 0% are voting for Ted Cruz, 88% for Allred. Zero.
I don't know that I've ever seen like a poll that said 0% of people were voting for one of the candidates.
So what does a Ted Cruz do about that? Does he he's so far behind at this point he just ignores women? Good advice.
I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I'm Ted Cruz, I'm not worried about this. I mean, I see this poll, but there's still 12% undecided. We're in a red state. He's just got to keep his people. He's got to get his people out, which Trump will do for him. I think he's going to be fine. It's a different animal if you're down and you just start persuading people who are otherwise not with you. It's interesting because I was just building a model for a Republican race, path to victory model. And I was even giving this Republican 1% of hard Democrats, like 4Ds and 3Ds. I was even giving him 1%. This is a big old 0. Independent women, 23 Cruz, 57 Allred.
Okay. So, well, Allred has the support of Democratic and independent women. I guess it comes down to those independent men because that was what, 44, 41, something like that. He's got to get those and undecideds to break. That's interesting. I mean, we have heard for a long time that women in the suburban women, aren't really with the GOP right now. I'm sure urban women, certainly that's the case for many of them. And, you still got rural women, frontier women who are willing to vote Republican.
I just see maybe it's embarrassing. Do you think Ted Cruz doesn't care at all that 0% are going to vote for him?
I don't think I don't think he cares. Not for 0% of Democratic women. I would assume he'd probably want that independent women number higher. But
how does he get independent women to support him? What can Ted Cruz do?
I don't know. Michael's the campaign expert. I mean, meet them Probably. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to leave that to Michael to
Since he's
answer.
attractive,
But I would say,
if they meet him in person.
no, I mean, no. I think just generally speaking, you see this. You hear the story, like you see him on the news, and you might not like the presentation because of the issue he's talking about, or because the way the interview is, or he's angry or whatever about whatever situation it is. But it's very different than when you meet someone face to face and you're talking to them about an issue or something like that. So I would say, being present always helps. But yeah, I'll defer to Michael on that because he's won many more campaigns than I have.
Oh, independent men. He's got to go hard on Allred's a open border guy and inflation guy, and he can win some of those voters. It's not that difficult. But Ted Cruz's problem is people already have an opinion about him. So I don't really know that there's much changing people's minds. So yes, you focus on those independent men and getting your Republicans out. You're not going to persuade the Democrats and the women.
Independent men. Hell yeah, brother.
You got to get me to vote for you, Cruz. I'm talking to you.
I mean, What are your options? Is there going to be a libertarian candidate?
Cruz or Colin Allred?
There might be a libertarian
candidate. I don't know.
You would be surprised how often I do not vote for either of the major political parties.
That wouldn't surprise me. I know.
I don't think that would surprise anyone.
You got to give me something to work with. I'm not on Team Red. I'm not on Team Blue. I'm like, that's not the game.
What team are you on? Team
America.
Russia?
Team Trump.
Russia.
Team America.
Team Putin. Well,
Team stop being stupid and doing dumb things.
Impossible. It's all on purpose, Michael. It's impossible. They're dumb on purpose.
I'm not on that team.
Yeah, me either.
Sorry.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Should we move to the last topic of the day?
Yeah, we only got a few minutes till we hit an hour.
Yeah. All right. So Michael Schellenberger out with a bombshell that won't get covered by the mainstream press. We need a new name for them.
Probably not true.
On a tangent.
Right? What? A new name for what?
Press,
mainstream corporate press.
Not corporate press. They need a new name. But
why not?
Lame straight media.
Hell yeah, Charles. You give it to them. Why not? What's wrong with corporate media? I think that's an accurate description.
It doesn't land. It's
boring. What do you mean? What's boring about it?
They just need to be. There's another word for propaganda that we could use here, but let's get to the. I've just been thinking about that. I'm going to start a trend amongst my small Twitter following.
Give me an idea of what you're talking about. Like, it doesn't have to be
people
that you finally land on, but give me directionally what you're thinking about.
They're propagandists for big money.
Okay.
Whether that be government, Wall Street,
big money media.
Whether that be dark media, I don't know. They're propagandists for Pfizer and Wall Street and the Federal Reserve and the Boeing and all the weapons manufacturers and the CIA and all the enemies. So
captured media?
Yeah, maybe. But we're not going to come up with it here. We got to get to so Schellenberger, who's not going to get covered in captured media. Let's try it out. Has a new report and it has two claims. One, the Russians actually preferred Hillary Clinton in the 2016 cycle. That's the first claim. The second claim is that the CIA specifically directed 26 people in the Trump campaign to be spied on by CIA agents in order to create the Russian interference narrative. The Russians saw Hillary as they preferred her because they saw her as predictable. They thought Trump was a wild card. And Schellenberger, the big thing is saying there are documents within the CIA or Trump has them that lay out this whole plan.
That Trump has them?
Maybe. They're either in the CIA or Trump has them.
Do we know why Trump wouldn't, or I guess could we guess why Trump wouldn't release those documents if he has them?
Timing.
What would be you're not with Trump today, but maybe one day soon. What would be an example of good timing for this? After he wins, October surprise. After they convict him and throw him in jail, when Nikki Haley wins, is that a good time?
closer to the election would be better.
Okay.
The thought process that with the October surprise, you drop it at the last minute, the other side doesn't get to respond. Their last October surprise, which was the Biden laptop, got suppressed by the media or by social media. We all know the story. So maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe it's just in the CIA. I don't know. But I find Michael Schellenberger to be credible. I think most of his reports have borne out to be backed by evidence. This one, he's putting a lot of stake in. He's hyping it up. One, because he wants eyeballs on it, but two, I think that he's got a story here that he thinks is credible. So I'd like to see more.
Well, I'd give it credibility simply because it's not unlike the CIA to do it. Like, I feel like this is right up their alley, so it doesn't at all surprise me. And even on the first point, it doesn't surprise me that Hillary would have been their preferred choice because she is more predictable. I mean, it's kind of similar to Nikki Haley being preferred by kind of a lot of the establishment because of predictability. And like a lot of these enemies or allies want predictability, and so that doesn't. Neither of those, I think, surprises me very much.
Well, Russia would prefer Hillary because she already sold them a third or half of our uranium deposits, right? She's willing to play ball.
I don't know.
Uranium.
Yeah, speechless.
You did your research or something.
I don't know anything about the uranium deposits. So I just
Uranium one.
So can I ask you guys a question?
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that what killed Superman? That's
uranium
kryptonite.
one. Yeah.
Kryptonite. There you go.
Is this new, or did we already know all this?
I don't think we knew that the CIA had foreign allies spy on the Trump team, triggering the Russian collusion hoax. I always thought of it as, and I think this is accurate, Hillary Clinton paid the former British MI6 spy to go to Russia and dig up dirt on Donald Trump. So she actually colluded with foreign governments. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that I knew that the CIA, I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me this last week or whenever, but that they had allies spy on the Trump team, I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I. But I do think that this was this was part of a broader conspiracy theory. I think people kind of felt things like this, but it's kind of another situation in which we have a conspiracy that either is in whole or in part validated by now extra information. And so, I think a lot of people felt this to be true or felt something like this to be true, and now they're being reassured that it was, or maybe not reassured, but assured that it did happen.
So we come full circle, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is vindicated by our last story.
Hell yeah!
It's a heck of a way to leave it off.
No, I would like to see more. Like, I like the CIA did this. That's scratching on all my favorite. What do you call it? Itch spots. Scratching all my favorite itches. But I need to see more. But I think Schellenberger is solid. I think he's one of the top 5, top 10 independent journalists out there now that's bringing the heat. And
who's top 1?
I don't know. I always am a big Glenn Greenwald fan. Matt Taibbi's pretty solid. I think Brett Weinstein's doing some interesting stuff because he's like straddling the conspiracy line, which I love to see. But he's also endeavoring on some areas that not a lot of people are talking about. He's doing that stuff on the Darien Gap right now and the immigration in there and the Chinese camps. Mm-hmm. And he's, he's a biologist by trade, but he's acting as a journalist.
We're all journalists.
Yeah, we're all journalists if you think about it. You're just excited because Weinstein or Weinstein?
Weinstein.
You're just excited because Weinstein's starting to talk about how HIV doesn't cause AIDS.
Oh, was that the guy from Joe Rogan the other day? I keep seeing that clip. Is that him?
Yeah.
Michael is super excited about that.
I'm not interested in that, but Weinstein has been on this. He built a plan in 2020 it was called, what did he call it?
The 2020 plan?
No. To get people behind a third-party independent run, and he's becoming more political, and he's willing to go places in terms of conspiracy world that most the Schellenbergers and the Taibis aren't willing to go. So, well, Schellenberger's deep in the UFO thing. But
Well, that's not a conspiracy anymore. We all know that that's true.
it's true.
Well, the
Except for
conspiracy-
Adam Lowy, apparently.
There's still the conspiracy about, who know what and when and why they're not telling us more.
That's true.
That's
Fair.
still plenty of conspiracy there. But whatever.
But interestingly, all of those people that I named are Democrats.
I would have never guessed.
You love the D. D's. You love D's.
Well, on that note,
Shall we
right
wrap
after-
up?
Yes.
Well, don't say, if you say you got to wrap up, then you also have to do
All right.
rock on.
I thought you were
Everybody,
still
remember
talking.
to flash your
Oh, what is happening
symbols.
on my screen?
Whoa.
Why did it do that?
See, that's you need to stop doing that, and that's what.
As
What
you flash your symbols, go to our Spotify, subscribe. Do you subscribe on Spotify? You follow on Spotify. Follow
Yes.
it. Do it on the YouTube, on the Apple Podcast. Go visit Brad Swale at Brad Swale on Twitter. Charles is at CJ Blaine 10, and I am at MSearle ATX. And we will see you guys next week. And guys.
Bye.